ChatGPT said, the alien queen drifted through the silent corridors of her crystal palace, her thoughts as calm as the glowing spires outside. Scouts had brought her an unexpected prize, a lone human soldier, unconscious and marred by battle, found drifting in the wreckage of an ancient scout ship. She paused at the entrance to her private chamber, the soft hum of alien biolights reflecting in her many eyes. Curiosity bloomed in her mind like a flower opening at first light. Her healers stood ready, their hands glowing with bioluminescent spores. They had laid the soldier gently on a bed of living crystal petals. The petals pulsed with soothing warmth, closing his deep wounds without pain. The queen watched as a single droplet of human sweat rolled down his brow, carrying the weight of fear and loss. She reached out with her telepathic touch and felt the soldier's heart beat like a startled bird. Despite his fierce training, the soldier trembled in his sleep. His memories flared explosions, screams, and the emptiness of space, but he found no comfort there. The queen's mind, he sensed a balm of calm. She projected an image of her homeworld's floating gardens, lush and alive beneath twin moons. Gentle waves lapped at crystal shores, and silver-winged creatures danced through violet skies. The scene wrapped around his fear like a soft shawl. He stirred. Blue eyes fluttered open, scanning the alien chamber in confusion. The queen stood at the foot of his bed, her tall figure framed by spiraling light. He saw no armor, no weapons, only a being of grace and strange beauty. His voice came out as a hoarse whisper. "Where am I?" The queen inclined her head in recognition of his question. Not with words she spoke, not with words, but with feeling. "You are safe. You do not need to fear us." She sent him a vision of her people's history and age of harmony and gentle strength. She showed him floods healed, forests reborn, lives preserved. The power of her species lay not in conquest but in care. Tears welled in the soldier's eyes. He had faced horrors in war, but never had he encountered such compassion. He raised a trembling hand and touched the crystal petals beneath him. They glowed brighter, as if returning his greeting. The queen stepped forward, placing a hand on his. Warmth spread through him, and his fear dissolved like mist in morning sun. He tried to speak again, voice stronger now. "Thank you." The words tasted strange and precious on his tongue. The queen's healers paused, giving him space to breathe. The chamber fell silent, except for the low hum of life around them. Slowly the soldier sat up, wincing as he tested his strength. He saw the mottled patterns of alien stone beneath his fingers and straightened. The queen extended a slender finger, guiding him to stand. He rose and felt the full weight of his body, live, whole, and aware of an unexpected hope. She led him to a balcony overlooking the crystal city. Below, swirls of light traced gentle patterns in the air. The soldier inhaled the sweet scent of alien flowers carried on warm wind. For a moment, he forgot the war and the pain. In its place bloomed wonder. The queen's voice echoed in his mind once more. "You have come far. You will rest here until you are ready." He nodded, unsure how to speak more. In that silent promise, he sensed a bond forming, one that might change both their worlds forever. Night fell, casting amethyst shadows across the palace. The soldier watched as her spires shone like stars on the ground. He closed his eyes, feeling a sense of peace he had never known. In the heart of an alien world, he found a friend in its queen and the first spark of a new hope. The morning light in the crystal palace was soft and cool when the soldier opened his eyes again. He blinked against the pale glow, his body feeling stronger after the queen's healing touch. Around him, the chamber was quiet, except for the gentle hum of living crystals. He sat up slowly, testing his legs, and found them steady. For the first time since he awoke, he felt calm instead of afraid. He spotted the alien queen just beyond a shimmering veil of light, watching him with kind, many-faceted eyes. She stepped forward and inclined her head in greeting. In his mind, he heard her voice as a warm melody. "You are well. You have rested." He tried to speak aloud, but words felt strange after his recovery. Instead, he let her words fill his thoughts and found he understood them perfectly. His heart lifted at the ease of communication. No translator machines, no awkward gestures, just the gentle link between two minds. He raised a hand in salute. The queen allowed a small smile to show in her thoughts. I am Alira, queen of the blooming light, and you are the human soldier. Drew in a breath. Captain Marcus Vale, he sent back, the name clear in his mind. He had never been a captain in title, but he had led rescue teams on many missions. He felt the weight of his rank and the memory of loss in every syllable. Alira closed her eyes for a moment, sensing the echoes of his past battles. She felt compassion bloom in her chest. In return, she shared a flash of her own history, the founding of her peaceful realm, the harmony of her people, the promise of gentle strength. Marcus felt hope stir inside him as he sensed how different her world could be from his war-torn memory. He dared to imagine peace instead of endless conflict. He swallowed hard and reached into his own mind for a memory to share. A moment of humanity shining through darkness, a child giving him a flower as he passed her home planet's refugee camp. He showed Alira the child's bright eyes and the way the petals trembled in his hand. The queen's light pulsed softly in response, as if touched by a simple gift. In that instant, Marcos understood how small acts could heal great wounds. Alira guided him through a garden of her mind. Where fields of glowing flowers stretched under a sapphire sky, she let him taste the scent of petals and hear the laughter of her people singing at sunrise. Marcus felt tears of wonder and relief slip down his cheeks. He had never known such beauty beyond the embattled decks of his fleet. He wanted to preserve this vision for all Earth to see. In return, he offered her a human song. He concentrated on the melody he remembered from home, the soft hush of a guitar and a singer's hopeful voice. Though he did not sing aloud, his mind wrapped the music around Alira's senses. She felt the rhythm in her branches and leaves, a new vibration that made her crystals vibrate in delight. She had never heard such a melody, and it filled her with joy. For hours, they shared stories of survival, dreams of peace, and simple wonders from two distant worlds. Marcus realized that in Alira's presence, his fear was gone. He felt proud of his humanity and hopeful for what might come next. Lara, in turn, felt her heart expand with curiosity and trust. She saw in him the spark of something greater than conquest, the power of compassion and connection. As the twin moons rose over the crystal towers, Marcus and Alira stood side by side on the palace balcony. He looked at her and saw, not an alien ruler, but a friend who believed in him. She looked at him and saw the promise of a new alliance. In that shared silence, they both understood. This meeting would change more than two lives. It could change two worlds forever. The soldier woke on the soft petals of living crystal, his body feeling lighter and stronger than before. Each breath came without pain, and his wounds had vanished like morning mist. He sat up and flexed his fingers, marveling at how whole he felt. Around him, the healers moved with gentle purpose, tending to alien plants that whispered in soft light. The queen watched from beside a pillar of glowing quartz, her eyes reflecting both pride and curiosity. Marcus Vale realized that he was not merely healed. He was transformed by her people's care. He rose carefully and tested each step. Steadying himself on the smooth floor, a healer approached, with a small bowl of glowing liquid. Marcus took it in both hands, feeling warmth spread through his chest as he drank. The taste was sweet and fresh, like dew on spring grass, and he closed his eyes to savor it. In that moment, he felt his mind clear of fear and pain. He knew that he was welcome here, safe in this alien world. Alira joined him at a low table carved from living crystal. She laid out simple foods, soft fruit pods that pulsed with light, thin slices of bread made from glowing grains, and a cup of warm nectar. Marcus lifted a pod and bit into it. Sweet juice spread across his tongue, and he felt energy bloom in his veins. As he ate, he watched Alira taste the bread, her expression serene and thoughtful. They shared this silent meal in peace, learning from each other's quiet gestures. After they ate, Alira led Marcus through the healing grove, a vast chamber filled with bioluminescent plants and gentle streams. The air was humid and scented with flowers, and soft ripples of light danced on the water. In the center stood a pool of clear liquid that mirrored the glowing canopy above. Elira gestured for Marcus to step in. He waded forward, feeling the water's warmth seep into his bones. As he submerged to his waist, he felt a gentle hum under his skin, as if the grove itself welcomed him. While Marcus stood in the pool, healers laid glowing spores on his arms and shoulders. The spores drifted like soft stars, settling into his flesh to renew every cell. He closed his eyes and felt them weave through his body, knitting torn tissue and filling him with gentle power. In his mind, he sensed Elira's calm voice. "This is our gift, human friend. You carry our hope as we carry yours." Gratitude swelled in his chest like rising tide. When the healing was complete, Marcus stepped out of the pool and shook water from his clothes. He felt lightness in his steps and clarity in his thoughts. Elira guided him to a bench woven from vine-like crystal strands. He sat and looked at her. In his mind he spoke words of thanks, simple but true. Elira nodded, then projected images of her people's greatest healers, a lineage of care that reached back through centuries. He saw hands that mended broken wings and touched dying hearts to bring back life. I felt honored to walk among such kindness. Marcus reached out a hand and touched the edge of the bench. The crystal pulsed under his palm, sending a gentle warmth through him. He realized that his own world could learn from this compassion. He imagined applying his training not just to save lives in war, but to build peace after battle. Elira watched his face and felt hope bloom in her heart. She saw a spark of leadership in his steady gaze, a promise that his people might choose a new path. As sunlight from twin moons slipped through the grove's canopy, Marcus rose and bowed to Elira. He felt renewed purpose. The queen placed a slender crystal staff in his hand, an emblem of trust and healing. Its surface glowed with soft light, and he felt its warmth in his palm. He looked at Elira and knew that this gift marked the true bond between them. He would carry her people's care back to Earth, and together they would forge a future of compassion and strength, hand in hand. Human and queen stepped out of the healing grove into the open sky of the palace. Crystal spires reached toward distant stars, and gentle winds carried the scent of glowing flowers. Marcus Vale felt his heart lifted by hope he had never known. Elira watched him with pride, knowing that in this simple act of healing, two worlds had found their first promise of peace. The morning sun filtered through the crystal windows as Elira led Marcus into her grand archive, a circular hall filled with floating glyphs of light. The walls glowed with images of her people's past great gardens rising from barren worlds. In cities built without harm, Marcus felt his breath catch as he saw 1,000 years of care and balance unfolding around him. He reached out, and the glyphs danced in response, welcoming his touch. Elira raised a slender hand and focused the glyphs on a scene of the first bloom of her home planet's sacred forests. He saw tiny seeds sprout through cracked earth, and hands of healers guiding each sprout to safety. The light was gentle, and Marcus felt his heart swell. He thought of Earth's burned lands and imagined a future where his people healed their wounds as hers had healed theirs. In return, Marcus shared a memory of home. He summoned a vision of a child's laughter, echoing across a refugee camp, bright eyes shining as she offered him a single wildflower. The image was simple, yet profound hope in the midst of despair. Elira's eyes glowed, and for a moment he felt her joy mingle with his own. She let the memory sink deep into her mind, honoring its power. They stood in silence as Marcus showed her the ocean on Earth, its blue waves rolling under a golden sun. He felt the salt breeze on his face and heard seagulls wheel above the water. Elira sensed the freedom of that moment and projected a matching vision, silver-winged creatures soaring through violet skies. He smiled at the echo, recognizing a shared love of flight between their worlds. Next, Elira guided him to a chamber of sound, where crystal columns emitted soft melodies. She tapped a column, and a gentle song filled the air, a lullaby her grandmother had sung at dawn. Marcus closed his eyes and let the music wash over him. He responded by drawing on his memory of Earth's folk songs, sending a simple tune of hope, and home. Their music wove together, creating a new harmony born of two cultures. As the melody faded, Marcus and Elira walked along a balcony overlooking the archive's gardens. Bioluminescent vines curled around crystalline railings, and flowers glowed in soft pinks and blues. He reached out to touch a petal, and it pulsed. Under his fingers, Lyra watched him with quiet pride, seeing how deeply he respected her world's life. In that moment, they understood each other beyond words. Marcus thought of his fallen comrades, soldiers who had fought for Earth but never seen such peace. He felt a pang of sadness and shared that sorrow with Illyra. She wrapped him in a gentle embrace of thought, sending calm and compassion through their link. His tears fell, not from fear, but from the healing power of shared grief. Elira held his pain as her own, and Marcus knew he was not alone. When he recovered his strength, Marcus knelt before Illyra and spoke in his mind. "Thank you for your trust." She replied with an image of a glowing seed, promising growth and renewal. She then placed in his hand a small, crystalline orb filled with her world's history, a living archive he could carry home. He accepted it with reverence, knowing the weight of its meaning. As sunset bathed the archive in warm light, Illyra and Marcus sat together on the garden's edge. They watched the twin moons rise, their reflections dancing on crystal ponds. Neither spoke. None was needed. Their shared visions and memories had built a bridge between two distant hearts. They sat in comfortable silence, each grateful for the gift of understanding. When the moons climbed high, Illyra spoke one final time. "Our worlds are different, but our hopes are the same." Marcus bowed his head and sent back a simple thought. "Together, we can make both worlds better." In that promise, the bond between queen and soldier grew strong. They left the Grand Archive side by side, carrying new knowledge and the first true spark of unity between Earth and the blooming light. The peace of the palace was broken by a sharp alarm echoing through the crystal halls. Lyra's face, calm moments before, tightened with concern as she sensed danger in her precious groves. A deep, low hum shook the ground beneath them. Petals trembled on living vines, and a haze of toxic vapor curled through the air. Marcus Vale felt his heart pound as he took in the sight of wilting flowers and sickly light. Illyra touched his arm, her mind trembling with fear. The toxin from a damaged reactor is killing the sacred groves. He saw the color drain from her many eyes. Without her world's living canopy, her people would lose their healing heart. Marcus remembered his training in field medicine and disaster zones. He knew fear, but also knew hope. He straightened and met Illyra's gaze. "Tell me what to do," he sent in his mind. She led him quickly through winding corridors to the reactor chamber. Pipes of glowing crystal cracked and hissed. The air burned in his lungs, and he felt the toxins sting. Lyra pointed to a shattered control console and two alien engineers struggling to repair it. Their tools were useless against both metal and living crystal. Marcus knew they needed a different approach. He recalled the filtration units he'd built from scrap on war-torn planets. He surveyed the room for materials. Narrow tubes of crystal lay among broken shards, and vines from the healing grove had been brought here to stabilize the reactor's core. Illyra followed his gaze and projected a plan. Combined plant fibers and crystal shards to craft a filter that could purify the air. Marcus nodded and set to work, calling on his muscles and mind together. He felt Illyra's steady presence in his thoughts. Comfort bloomed like a small flower. With Illyra's guidance, engineers gathered long vines and cut them into strips. Marcus arranged them in layers, weaving them tightly around crystal cores. He drilled small channels into the core shards, creating passages for air to flow. He combined the living vine's natural purifying enzymes with the crystal's ionic energy. As he worked, his hands moved with purpose and care, as if weaving hope itself into each filter. Illyra's healers watched in silence, awe shining in their eyes. They had never seen human hands build hope from chaos. Marcus handed the first filter to an engineer, showing him how to install it in the reactor's ventilation ducts. Sparks flew as the new device clicked into place. Marcus held his breath, feeling every heartbeat. Illyra opened her mind to him. You are brave. You bring new light to my people." The reactor's hum changed as filtered air began to flow. The sick haze receded, and the vines inside the core chamber began to pulse with renewed life. Crystal walls glowed brighter, and the groves outside the palace stirred as fresh oxygen spread through the air. Marcus and Alira watched from a viewing window as violet petals unfurled again. Their glow soft and strong, relief washed over both of them. Alira sent a warm wave of gratitude that filled Marcus's mind with light. He felt tears prick his eyes, not from fear, but from joy. He pressed a hand to the cool glass and watched healing return to the plants he had come to love. Alira placed her hand on the glass beside his, and he felt the gentle warmth of her living touch. When the crisis passed, Alira addressed her court in the great hall. She spoke of the human soldier who had saved their world with simple tools and steady hands. Her voice rang with pride and wonder. Marcus kneeled before her, humble but proud. The court bowed in respect, their many eyes shining with gratitude. Alira rose and placed a hand on Marcus's shoulder. In his mind she spoke, "You have shown us that courage and compassion can bloom together." Marcus felt his heart swell. He looked at Alira and thought, "Together we can heal more than this grove. We can heal both our worlds." That night, the palace celebrated under violet lanterns. Music filled the air, and healers danced among flowers restored to life. Marcus joined the dance, his steps guided by Alira's gentle laughter. As he moved, he felt the bond between them grow stronger than any darkness. In this moment of shared joy, he knew that hope was not just a dream but a living force, blooming in both their hearts. The court gathered in the grand hall of living crystal, its walls shimmering with gentle light as healers and engineers took their places. Vines curled around sconces, and soft music drifted from a circle of musicians playing delicate wind harp melodies. At the center stood Alira and Marcus Vale, side by side, their bond now known throughout the realm. The air hummed with anticipation as the alien nobility watched this human who had become their honored guest. Alira spoke first, her voice calm and clear in the shared mind link. She told of the soldier's courage and kindness, how he had woven hope into the very fabric of their world. Marcus listened, heart swelling. As she described each act of healing he had performed, from mending her sacred groves to sharing his memories of Earth's beauty, the court's many eyes glowed with gratitude, and softly they echoed Alira's praise and thoughts of welcome. Then Marcus stepped forward, dressed in simple robes woven from the palace's silver vines. He bowed deeply to Alira and the assembled crowd. In his mind he spoke words of thanks and respect. He told them how their compassion had saved him from despair, how their gentle strength had shown him a path beyond war. He promised to carry their story back to Earth, to share the wisdom he had gained in this realm of light. Alira raised her hand, and two attendants brought forward a slender chain of living crystal. At its center hung a gem that pulsed with soft, violet light. She held it before Marcus and placed it around his neck. As the crystal touched his skin, he felt a warm current flow through him, an ancient blessing of unity and trust. The court fell silent, then broke into quiet murmurs of awe at the sight of a human wearing the emblem of the bloom. "Friend of the blooming light," Alira declared in a single thought, the words carrying across every mind present. "May this honor bind our peoples in peace." Marcus bowed again, tears of joy prickling at his eyes. He felt the weight of the title and the hope it carried. In that moment, he knew he would never be the same soldier he was before. He was now an ambassador, a bridge between two worlds. Outside the palace, lanterns of bioluminescent flowers lit the evening sky. Marcus and Alira walked together through winding gardens, the soft breeze carrying the scent of glowing petals. They talked of the future, shared research into healing arts, exchanges of knowledge, and plans for a vessel to safely carry alien spores back to Earth. Each idea blossomed in Marcus's mind like a seed in fertile soil, and Alira's gentle encouragement made him feel capable of any task. He paused by a pool whose waters mirrored the twin moons above, Lyra kneeled and touched the water's surface, creating ripples that danced with light. Marcus joined her, and together they watched as the reflections merged, moonlight and crystal glow intertwined. Lyra sent him a thought. Our worlds are like these reflections, separate but able to shine together. Marcus felt the power of unity in that image and nodded, hopeful for all that lay ahead. As midnight approached, the palace bells rang softly, marking the moment of their alliance. Healers laid out a feast of glowing fruits and warm spiced nectar. Marcus and Lyra took the first ceremonial bite and sip, sealing their promise in shared taste and laughter. Around them, the court joined. In celebration, each guest feeling the warmth of a new era dawning. In every heart, hope and possibility took root. When the festivities came to a close, Marcus stood at the edge of the palace balcony, looking out over the violet forests. Lyra joined him, her presence calm and bright. They looked at each other with mutual understanding. Soon he would return to Earth, but their bond would endure. In the hush of the night, they made a silent vow to keep the light alive in both their worlds. Together, they had turned a chance meeting into an alliance that could change the galaxy forever. Ask ChatGPT. The morning light filtered through the violet leaves as Marcus's veil prepared to leave the Crystal Palace. He stood at the edge of the launch platform, dressed in his human uniform now trimmed with a silver braid from Lyra's court. In his hand, he held the living crystal Orba archive of Lyra's peopleland, the slender staff of unity. His heart felt heavy at the thought of parting, yet it was filled with hope. Lyra approached in her flowing robes of living light, her many eyes, reflecting both pride and sorrow. She reached out and placed a gentle hand on Marcus's arm. In his mind, he heard her voice as soft as dawn. You have our trust, and you carry our promise. He bowed deeply and offered a simple thought in return. I will honor that promise with every breath. The launch platform shimmered beneath them, powered by alien energy that made the air hum. Engineers secured the crystal orb and the Unity staff in the vessel's hold. Marcus checked his own gear maps of star routes, communication devices, and a small pouch of alien seeds meant to test Earth's soil. He tucked them into his vest pocket as a symbol of new life. Lyra guided him to the cockpit door and placed a hand on the frame. She sent him a final gift of calm, washing away any fear. Marcus smiled through his tears and pressed a hand against the transparent wall. Below, the blooming lights garden spread like a living tapestry, each flower a testament to what compassion could build. He whispered a promise to keep that spirit alive back home. The engines began their low roar, and the vessel lifted smoothly. From the platform, Lyra stood still until it rose beyond the highest spire, then raised a single hand in farewell. Marcus pressed his palm to the glass and returned the gesture. In that moment, two worlds said goodbye and see you again. With hearts united as the ship climbed into the crystal sky, Marcus watched Lyra's palace shrink beneath him. He felt a gentle tug of loneliness, but it eased when he touched the Unity staff at his side. Its soft glow was like a heartbeat, a reminder that he would never be alone. He closed his eyes and breathed deeply, letting the memory of Lyra's kindness fill him with strength. Inside the cockpit, Marcus opened a channel to his fleet's command. His voice was calm but bright as he reported, Queen Lyra of the Blooming Light sends greetings of peace. I carry her embassy and her hope. On the main screen, Admiral Chen's stern face softened into a smile. Welcome home, Captain Vale, she said. And thank you for bringing us more than victory. He felt pride at those words. During the long journey toward Earth, Marcus spent hours studying the crystal orb. Its living images shifted as he focused, showing glimpses of Lyra's history and her people's wisdom. He recorded messages in his own mind, describing how her healers could treat whole planets and how her engineers built devices from living crystal. He knew that sharing this knowledge could change humanity's path. He also tended the pouch of alien seeds. In the ship's small hydroponic lab, he placed them in nutrient-rich water. Each seed glowed softly as it absorbed the nutrients. Marcus watched with wonder as the first roots sprouted. He sent a thought to Lyra. They are alive. and ready," she answered with a vision of forests once thought lost, now returning in full bloom. They shared a smile across the light years. Finally, as the blue-green marble of Earth came into view, Marcus felt his heart swell. He thought of war's destruction and of the hope he carried in his hands. He placed the Unity staff and the crystal orb on the viewer console, letting their glow cast soft patterns across the cockpit. He whispered to himself, "This is the first step of many." The vessel entered Earth's atmosphere, its crystal hull refracting sunlight into rainbows. Marcus prepared to land at the Peace Summit, where he would present Alira's gifts and her vision. He felt ready for the challenge, knowing that the seed of compassion planted here would grow into something far greater. As the ship's thrusters fired, he closed his eyes and offered thanks to Alira and to those who had shown him a better way. In that silent prayer, he felt both the weight of responsibility and the lightness of hope. In his heart, he knew that two worlds would bloom together, and that the future belonged to those who chose healing over harm.